Hello guys, and we're here today with another very interesting deck profile. We're here today with some Cyber Dragon, Infinity, Ultimaya to the Zolkin type stuff here. So I call it Ultimaya Infinity. There's probably a lot of other names for this deck, but this deck is actually pretty interesting, pretty powerful, because if you summon out Infinity and you have Crystal Ring on your side of the field, that's 2 negations, 2 cards from your opponent's hand, and that can be very, very devastating. So let's just go right into the deck. We're playing 2 Gemite Garnet, so that way we can make the level 5 Fairy type Gem Knight, Sapphire Knight, who will help us with getting off multiple normal summons and the whatnot, which can be really useful if you can't, say, discard a monster for quick draw synchron. You can just summon them out, instead using her as a tribute or whatnot. And anyways, in this deck, we have a Cyber Dragon and Cyber Dragon Core. I do want to mention that both of these guys have an effect where you can activate if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters. Of course, you can only use one of these effects, because the moment you use one of them, you can't use the other one. I was running the Blackwing Tuner in this deck, and it also had a similar effect where you could summon it out if you control no monsters. But because of all having 3 cards that all required you to have no monsters, it really clogged. And if I chose to use Cyber Dragon, I couldn't use the Blackwing. If I chose to use the Blackwing, I couldn't use Cyber Dragon. If I chose to use this guy, I couldn't use either of the 2. So it really hurt. So I just took it out completely, and so now the only tuner is Quick Draw Synchron. But hey, we're running 6 of him technically. And so yes, we have triple Cyber Dragon. Triple Cyber Dragon is needed because you might end up banishing 1 or 2 using Pot of Desire, so definitely running 3. Galaxy Soldier, discard a light monster to graveyard and summon him out, and then you can search for another Galaxy Soldier, which is really great. And if you have 2 light monsters in your hand and him in your hand, you can make a free 3-card Infinity pretty much. You just need those 3 cards, and that's very strong, very great, just easily being able to summon out an Infinity. And of course, Infinity can summon out your Cyber Dragon monsters such as Core and, well, not Infinity, but Nova can. So you can do a lot of cycling. You can use the same monsters for to make Infinity and then make Tzolk'in. And then Quick Draw Synchron, just discard 1 monster from your hand to the graveyard, such as Core. Core is going to be the one you really want to discard. And you can then summon him out, and he's a level 5 tuner. Now he says he cannot be used for a synchro summon except for the synchro summon of a synchro that requires a synchron tuner. But Ultimaya Tzolk'in is a very special synchro monster where it isn't completely treated as if it's being synchro summoned, because it's not being synchro summoned from the extra deck. It says cannot be synchro summoned, so it allows you to get past that, and so that's very, very great, very nice. And then 3 Dre. Dre allows you to make all Cyber Dragon monsters you control become 5, but you cannot special monsters during the turn you activate this effect except machine type monsters, which really sucks because it would have been so great if I could have just mounted Brilliant Fusion, drop Jet, drop Dre, or drop Core, drop Dre, get a search off with Core, of course, and then make Infinity, but you cannot do that. Which really, really makes this deck not as well as what it could be. So Dre, you really hurt this deck a lot more than you're helping it. But nonetheless, he is very useful, and so is Jet. Jet does the same thing, except he doesn't prevent you from summoning anything else. He just makes all Chronomaly monsters you control level 5, because, well, he's the only Chronomaly monster, so if you use this effect, he becomes level 5. And then 2 Max C, of course, for more consistency, and then 3 Core. This is a very important card because we're running Machine Dupe and the only target is Cyber Dragon Core. I mean, he will add to you a Cyber Repair Plant, which is very, very great card to have because it can search out Galaxy Soldier, it can search out any of our monsters except Gemini Garnet and Quick Draw Synchron. And if this card is in your grave, like I said, you could banish it to summon out a Cyber Dragon monster from your deck, so that includes Dre, Core, and Cyber Dragon, of course. And you can be its name while in the field and in the graveyard become Cyber Dragon, so you can target it with Machine Dupe and summon out 2 more Cyber Dragons. So that's a 2-card Infinity, which is very great and very powerful. And then we have Instant Fusion, who you can use to summon out Norden and then make a rank 4 play. Pretty much that's going to be it right there. And then Double Pot of Desires just for more consistency. And Soul Charge just to summon out monsters from a graveyard, which can allow us to make our whole Ultimate Tzolk'in, Crystal Ring, Infinity field pretty easily, very, very easily, in fact. So if you get off a Soul Charge, you can really take back the game state very easily. And then Machine Dupe, like I've been talking about, it just helps with summoning out your Cyber Dragons and getting them from the deck, and it's just good overall, very strong, very great. And then Foolish Barrel, we have Foolish Barrel because you do want to dump Cyber Dragon Core into the graveyard, so that way if you need to, you can use its effect. Or so that way you can just activate Cyber Repair Plant, which requires you to have a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard. Again, this guy's treated as a Cyber Dragon while in the graveyard. So then you can then add a Light Machine type monster from your deck to your hand. If you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in your graveyard, you can activate both effects and resolve in secrets and add and then target a Light Machine type monster in your graveyard, shuffle that target into the deck. The second one really isn't that useful, but the first one, adding a Light Machine type monster, is Cyber Dragon, Galaxy Soldier, Drake, Chronomaly Jet, and Cyber Dragon Core, which is great that Core can search out a card that can search out Cyber Dragon Core. That's very, very useful, actually. And then tuning, just add 1 Synchron Tuna monster from your deck to your hand, such as Quick Draw Synchron, then send the top card of your deck to your graveyard, which can be great if you end up milling Cyber Dragon Core, of course, but probably not. It really doesn't matter what you mill, but it does help in the long run. And then Twin Twister, get rid of back row. We really don't want to be striked when we go to summon out our Infinity, so Twin Twister really helps. And then Brilliant Fusion is of course a great card. Just being able to summon out a level 5 helps with making our Tzolk'in plays, or just being able to get out more monsters. And that is it for the main deck. Again, this deck is all about the extra deck. That is pretty much what this deck is about. So I'm just going to go in 1-1 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon just in case of the Cosmo matchup. Gives an extra normal summon, but is a level 5, so that's very great. Norden summons out a level 4 lower from your graveyard. Tzolk'in must be special summoned by sending 2 level 5 or higher monsters you control with the same level to the graveyard, 1 tuner and non-tuner. Cannot be summoned by other ways. And if you set a spell or trap card to your side of the field, you can spell summon level 7 or 8 Dragon type Synchro monster from your extra deck. So that includes for us, we're running Void Augur, who if you have no cards in your hand, you can negate a spell trap card. Crystal Ring. And honestly, I've been thinking about it, whether or not just regular clearing is better, because clearing has 2 negations effect. One is if a level 5 or higher monster activates effects, and then the other is if a level 5 or higher monster is targeted, you can negate that monster effect. So clearing has 2 effects. Crystal Ring allows you to negate any monster effect, but only 1 monster effect. So I really can't decide which one's better. Like, are always being able to negate a monster effect, regardless of if it's a XZ monster or the whatnot, or being able to have those 2 effects, because I don't ask me. But Crystal Ring I'm playing because he's probably is the better one in the long run. Just being able to negate any card effect, and of course if it battles a level 5 or higher monster, during damage calculation it gains attack equal to its current attack. So it pretty much is like attacking directly. And then of course for an offensive play we have Michael, level 7, just pay 1,000, banish a card. Gets rid of back row, gets rid of monsters, gets rid of practically everything, and so that's very great to have. So you can summon out those 3 monsters using Ultimaya Tzolk'in. And then for our XZ monsters, we have Infinity, allows you to target an opponent's monster. Do note that you can summon Infinity on top of Nova, but you can only do that once per turn, which really sucks, because sometimes you can get off double Infinity, but you have to wait a turn. And against Drone Attack, for each XYZ material attached to it, you can target an opponent's monster, or target a face-up attack position monster on the field, and attach it to this card as face-up XYZ material. And then once per turn during either player's turn, when a card effect is activated, you can detach to negate. So that's very great, very powerful. Really glad that this XYZ monster is a Cyber Dragon, because it would be a lot worse if it was a new card, just like a new archetype or just a generic card. Because then that's power creep. It isn't power creep per se if it's just revitalizing an old archetype. Because this helps an older archetype. It's hard to express what I'm saying, but I don't consider this power creep so much as support, just more support to help an older deck compete, which I really like. I really like that this card is a Cyber Dragon and not just some rank 6 monster. Like, they could have just made it a rank 6 that required a Light Machine type monster as XYZ material. And then Cyber Dragon Nova, which of course you need so you can summon out Cyber Dragon Infinity, but you can detach 1 XYZ material to special summon one of your Cyber Dragons that are in your graveyard, so that includes Trade, Core, and Cyber Dragon Core. So you're probably going to want to summon out Cyber Dragon himself, so that way you can make Ultimaya Tzolk'in, or maybe even another one. And then you can also use this effect to banish a Cyber Dragon monster you control, and this card gains 2100 attack. So this can result in some pretty nasty OTKs actually, where if you maybe summon out Infinity and then you can go for a second Infinity, but you just go for the Nova and then summon out the Cyber Dragon, attack with the Cyber Dragon, and then attack with Nova, getting him up to 42. And if that Cyber Dragon did any damage, that's at most 63. Yeah, 63. And then if you have that Infinity still, or any other monster, so definitely this card can be very nasty when it comes to dealing damage, and isn't something just to ignore. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go and make Infinity. No, like this guy summons out more monsters and he can boost his own attack, so that's very great. Utopia for if we get out a rank 4 player, so that way we can make Utopia the Lightning. Castel, of course, gets rid of anything, and then Diaguster Admiral will return everything into our extra deck and allow us to draw more cards. And that is it for this deck profile. Again, it's very much just straight up make Cyber Dragon Infinity or make Tzolk'in. You guys will see in the duel how this deck turns out. I really like try to balance part of the desires in this deck between 2 and 3, but I figured a 40 card deck works pretty well in this deck because you really want to open up. You want to open up a Cyber Dragon Core and Machine Tube. That's pretty much what you want to open up with. Maybe have Quick Draw. This deck does want to go first, which really sucks because if you open up with Max C, it's kind of dead. But if you summon out Cyber Dragon Infinity or Tzolk'in and have Crystal Wing and you drop a Max C, that's also pretty annoying as well on your opponent. Because then it's like, alright, I need a special summon so that way I can bait out the Cyber Dragon. Or if they decide to make Utopia the Lightning, which is probably the easiest way to get rid of any of these cards, pretty much. Do note that Tzolk'in can be destroyed by card effects, but it cannot be targeted or for attacks or by card effects. So Raigeki really poops on this card, which really sucks. But that it only gains the effect of cannot be targeted if you control another synchro monster. That's something you should really know. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later. Bye.